right? A timely topic, and things that you can do in your own life to make yourself resilient so that if you are exposed, there's less risk of you getting sick, depending on, who knows what you've been exposed to, right? So let's talk about immune boosting you, preventing infection. And we'll just dive right in. All right. What are some strategies that you can take every day to help your resilience and to help you be able to not get sick? Now, always remember, we're still asking those four critical questions in this moment. Is this moment nourishing me, right? Is this helping you? Are you spending your time the way you want to spend it? Does this moment move you forward, move your body, soul, mind forward? Are you being rejuvenated and cleansed? So if you ask yourself those four questions in the moment, and you can say yes, then good for you. All right, so let's give you a little bit of information to help your life be better, and also to just create wellness and vibrance in your life. So we're going to talk about quite a few things. We're going to talk about foods that can help your immune system. We're going to talk about supplements that might help your immune system, and about how some of those basic habits that I harp on all the time do actually boost your immune system. They improve your ability to fight off infections. And so we'll just dive right in. So with food, it's interesting when we think about what are therapeutic foods. Definitely, we see in the research more and more evidence that mushrooms are a kind of food that can actually give you immune boosting properties. Reishi mushroom has certainly been shown to help with this, and mushrooms appear to affect the methylation of our DNA to help us express younger genes. So mushrooms are one of those like super healthy foods. And it's interesting because when we think about mushrooms and fungi, we know that fungal infections are bad. And some kinds of fungi make toxins that will make us super sick, right? There's toxic mushrooms. You've heard of those. But so we want to make sure that we're eating, not going out and picking them unless you really know what you're picking, and trying to eat a variety of mushrooms. Lion's mane mushroom has been shown clearly to be an immune booster. And so we're going to go more deeply into food as we go through this, but just a few big ones off the top of the head. You guys know chicken soup really is good for us when we get sick because it has antibodies, has a lot of good things in it. So bone broth can be another one. Garlic, of course, has immune boosting properties. And the other thing we're going to speak about is how we can help the rest of our body continue to be working well by encouraging our microbiome to be healthy. All right. So, of course, there are different kinds of infections that we talked about yesterday, right? There's bacterial infections, viral infections, parasites, fungal infections, and how do we ward off those? Okay, so we'll dive right in. I'm going to talk about some of the major nutrients that you need in order to have your immune system working well, and where can you find those in food? Okay, so let's start off with vitamin E, very important. Nuts, seeds, greens. All right, and that's my lunch: nuts, seeds, and greens. So here's a big encouraging bit of advice. When you do your salad, add those nuts and seeds on top. We really want to go for organic if possible. It's a key fat-soluble vitamin that helps regulate immune system functions. The avocado a day keeps the doctor away. It used to be an apple, now it's an avocado a day. Clearly helps with making our immune system stronger and be able to be resilient. When we think about all those vegetables and greens that I'm encouraging you to eat, and as I say, nobody's eating enough vegetables, right? You're not eating enough vegetables. Maybe you are. Maybe you are by now. It's possible. So, we're looking for 6 to 9 cups of vegetables a day, if possible. That's a lot of veggies. My husband looks at the salad I make and he's like, I can't eat all that. I'm like, yes, you can, and you will. But what we have is this phytonutrient mass. When you eat a bunch of greens, a bunch of vegetables, beta carotene is critical, and you can't just take it in a supplement, you guys. You actually need to get it in the food. when they looked at people taking beta carotene as a supplement, it actually did bad things. So we don't want to take beta carotene as a supplement. We got to get it through food, and trying to find those ways that you can get the more spinach, carrots, sweet potato, squash, cantaloupe. Notice those are kind of orangey yellow colors. These can help your antibodies respond to toxins. Okay, and so we're still, fruits and vegetables, vitamin C, very important. And I would go so far as to say, vitamin C is one of my favorite like go-tos for as a daily thing to make sure I've got enough vitamin C. I even think that doing a periodic vitamin C flush can be helpful for people, sort of to get everything cleared out of the gut. And eating, we really do want to eat fruits. And I used to tell people to really limit fruit, but now I think that it's essential that we are getting these phytonutrients. It's much better to use food as medicine than to take a supplement. But vitamin C is one of those that I do take regularly. I feel like it helps me, it helps keep my gut going. And here are some great foods, oranges, tangerines, sweet red pepper. Always want to be getting organic with these things, you guys. Broccoli, strawberries, kale, kiwi. Increase white blood cell production, which is the kind of blood cells that fight off infection. And vitamin C itself is antibacterial and antiviral. So vitamin C is definitely one of those top ones that I really like, and I use that as a supplement. Now, this is interesting. Antioxidants are, we all need more antioxidants, because part of why we get sick is oxidative stress. All right, so green tea is one of those foods that has amino acids in it that can help your T cells also, which are fighting off infection, and can reduce inflammation in the body. So you can, and another thing is green tea. I mean, you really do want to look for organic sources, and consumerlab.com is a place that you can find out which are the cleanest sources in terms of extra stuff like heavy metals and things like that. So I like that resource, consumerlab.com. It's an inexpensive membership where you can see how they have tested different supplements and whether or not they're supplements and foods to make sure that they are clean for you. The next, vitamin D. Oh, if you haven't heard about vitamin D within the pandemic being an important part of making our immune system strong, it is truly, truly important. And we see that people who have low vitamin D, if they get COVID, they're much more likely to have a bad experience with the pandemic and COVID-19. So vitamin D, you can get it from the sun, right? Going out 13 to 15 minutes of sunshine 3 times a week. So that's not a lot of time spent in the sun. For those of you who are up in the northern clime, you may not have that much sun. I know that there's some days that we don't have that much sun. And so taking a vitamin D supplement is very safe, very reasonable. You can get vitamin D in salmon, egg yolks, mushrooms. I believe that it's super safe and very reasonable to take a little bit of vitamin D, but make sure you talk with your doctor about that if I'm not your doctor. And moving forward, thinking about your gut health. Guys, in order to have the optimum immune function, you got to get your gut feeling healthy. Okay, it's critical, because most of your immune system lives right alongside of the gut walls. It's basically there waiting to see if invaders come in, because that is our major interface. Our major interface with the outside world is our skin, right? Our skin's outside, exposed to everything. But when we take things into our mouth, then we have this huge area where our body has to decide friend or foe. And that's why our immune system is lined up all along the gut, trying to protect us. And what we want is to have our first line of defense, like the acid in our stomach. When we swallow things down, our acid in our stomach protects us from a lot. So we want to get the acid production adequate. Then we want to make sure we're digesting our food and we're not leaving it to create bacterial overgrowth in our gut, which then causes a bunch of symptoms and makes it so our gut wall is not as protective. We need it to be protective for us. So finding a way to create that gut health is really important, and protecting your microbiome. The fermented foods are therapeutic foods in terms of getting back your gut health. If you can't do fermented foods, things like kimchi, kombuchas, sauerkraut, then we think about a probiotic capsule. Might be considered. Talk with your doctor about it if I'm not your physician. And those of you who are within the program, we can talk about whether or not you have enough probiotics and prebiotics in your diet, which is what I hope, or if you need to take an extra probiotic. So let's talk a little bit about the supplements that I think of as my go-tos for helping the immune system. One I recently added to the list is Himalayan Tartary buckwheat. Very interesting, super nutritious type of buckwheat. It is different from just the buckwheat that you buy in the store. Big Bold Health is the supplement company that makes it, and it has all these phytonutrients. They also sell actually the buckwheat itself, Himalayan Tartary buckwheat, that you can work into recipes. So one way or another, if we're trying to optimize the immune system, this is a really good supplement. And then the others are kind of some basics, right? We talked about vitamin D. I've already mentioned vitamin C, and maybe doing a vitamin C flush. N-acetylcysteine and glutathione, those two kind of go together because N-acetylcysteine is what your body uses to make glutathione. And we can check glutathione levels to see where you are, whether or not you have enough. But this is the body's primary antioxidant, right? So glutathione helps you fend off and helps you to be able to reduce the oxidative stress in your body. And NAC helps you make it. So there's studies showing that NAC has been at least somewhat helpful with COVID-19. So that might be something to consider. And acetylcysteine and glutathione also has been used, and it's extremely safe. So it's something that if you get sick, might be something to consider, glutathione. And I'm not talking just about any certain particular virus. I'm just saying that it can help you recover when you get sick. Zinc and copper, interesting. So zinc, we know that zinc can help us get better from a cold, right? There's been some research around that. And also that low zinc may place us at risk at getting sicker because it affects your immune system. To not have enough zinc, you need zinc. Now, zinc and copper they use the same transporter, so they tend to be on a teeter-totter. And if you're taking a lot of zinc, your copper might go low. And if you're taking a lot of copper, your zinc might go low, right? So it's something that you probably want to think about with your provider, whether or not you would benefit from having a zinc copper supplement. Usually I will check these for people or give a low dose of them both together. Selenium is another one that helps with the immune system, helps fight off viruses. And then we discussed Himalayan Tartary buckwheat as something that can help. Here, this is the basic thing we learned when we were little, but I think that it bears repeating. When you are out and you get back home, you guys know after you use the restroom, you're going to wash your hands really well. But I think that we can add another point where we wash our hands, and that's when we get home from being out and about, right? Just doing some basic hand washing, right? Singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star while you wash your hands, trying to hit all the surfaces just to protect yourself. And good old-fashioned soap and water, right? And we've talked about using natural products like Castile soap instead of all the extras that comes with other soaps. And then let's talk a little bit about masking and how much, what the benefit is. wearing a mask can decrease your risk of infections. That's why physicians, when they are going into the operating room to operate on a patient, they always wear a mask because they don't want the person on the table to get an infection that they might be harboring. And and they've done this for years, right? This is not a new thing. So we know that especially for respiratory viruses, that it prevents transmission. So this is something that's a basic idea in medicine. Now, whether or not you need to wear a mask and how much it will help you, it kind of depends on several things. Depends on your health, right? Who you've been exposed to. And so let's say maybe you are thinking about wearing a mask, right, to try and protect yourself and others. What kind of mask do you choose? Well, N95 masks are the tried and true, a little uncomfortable. And so people ask me, what's the difference between a KN95 and an N95 mask? KN95s are approved in China. N95s are approved in this country. And this is something I got from Google, is that it could be a problem with counterfeit of the KN95s. The N95 means it's going to filter out 95% of those tiny particles, right? And if you're going to wear a mask, I believe that I would opt for an N95 if possible, right? If I was feeling concerned. Cloth masks, the thin cloth masks, are not nearly as protective for you, although they do find that in multiple layers, a mask could be more effective. Once again, I know that people feel strongly about mask wearing, and this is just trying to give you information. No matter where you stand on the mask wearing spectrum, I feel like myself, I did opt to have the COVID-19 vaccination and get booster shots, and I feel like, generally speaking, I don't wear a mask regularly now because I feel like I'm fairly protected because I'm trying to do these other things to protect my immune system. I do think that COVID-19 is probably here to stay, for those of you who are watching this during the pandemic, and that it will become something like the flu. And at some point, we're probably all going to get it. So we need to boost our immune systems so that we're not the person that gets super sick from it, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about what the risks are and who is at increased risk. It's important to understand this because this might be more compelling for you to wear a mask when you go out. Of course, older people, right? Older people have an increased risk. If you carry some extra weight, if you have diabetes, lung problems, sickle cell disease, or immunocompromise can lead to a worsened outcome. So it might behoove you to consider mask wearing, and then consider discussing your vaccination options with your doctor to see how you can be protected. So the next thing I want to mention is that in order for us to clear infections, we really do need to have that lymphatic system, like we talked about yesterday, working well. It needs to be open. Not only that, our tiny blood vessels need to be open too. So we need good blood flow, good lymphatic flow, and a couple of the things that really help both of these are actually bouncing, right? So like we talked about yesterday, bouncing can help with the movement of lymph, can help with blood flow, and remember the dry brushing to help to clear things out. The other thing is, we know that exercise can, not over to exercise, but a little bit of exercise improves your blood flow, improves your immune system and your mood, right? And we know also, you guys know that a better mood leads to a better immune system. So let's talk about meditation and bringing yourself back to center and relaxing. This can lower stress hormones and improve your body's ability to fight off infections. When cortisol is high, for instance, if we give somebody a bunch of steroids, cortisol is a kind of steroid, people's immune system, like the bottom drops out of it. Okay, so if you're like super stressed out, it is hard for your immune system to really do its best. There's a great book by about Wim Hof. Well, the Iceman. He's a very interesting, charismatic person who was able to influence his immune system, prevent getting sick, and showed this clinically in a research study when they injected him with actual, something that would make him very sick. And he didn't get sick because he would use this technique of breathing and meditation with cold exposure, breathing, meditation, cold exposure. But he was able to control his immune system through controlling his stress level. And it was one of the first times that we see in medicine that something we thought we could not control, we can control. So that's an interesting book you might want to consider looking at. And just remember, every time that you take some nice breaths, that you think a good thought, that you're kind to someone, that you smile, all that is helping your immune system. And we talked a little bit about the colorful palette and how, getting all the colors of the rainbow in every day and getting in that balanced diet, lots of fiber, because it's protecting your gut. And the gut is one of the primary places that we need to work in order to have that good immune system. Sleep, if you don't sleep, your immune system just declines. What happens is you're not going to be able to create antibodies as well. You're not going to be able to have macrophages as active. And they've shown that people who were sleep deprived couldn't fight off a cold. Like, they gave people a cold, like in their nose, rhinovirus, and they followed like people's sleep patterns over the next weekend. They looked at who got sick and who didn't. And if they were not sleeping, they were much more likely to get sick. So sleep is essential. And then there's that happy guy. He's happy. We want to be happy. I know that and this is tricky, right? Because we want to cultivate that sense of joy moment to moment, right? Everybody has down times. And so I know that you can't just put on a happy face and be there. But it's worth seeing, how can I start to cultivate these positive moments, right? Tools we can use are memories of wonderful things that have happened in the past, and revisiting those memories and trying to engender the feeling, that internal chemistry that happened when good memories happened in the past. So it's one way that you can start to shift your mood. And actually, there is also research showing that just putting a smile on your face does lead you to feeling in a better mood. Okay, so it might be worth trying for you. And hydration, I just want to toss this in there as a last. Hydration helps our body work better. So hydrating, clean water, you want to have filtered water source. We've talked about the detox aspect, but water is really important for your body just to work well, you guys. And so I want to leave you with this. As you begin to heal the inner you alter your immune system. So we want to have that powerful immune system. And as you work on all of your self-care habits, start to be kind to yourself, work on trying to be in the moment, you're going to be helping your immune system. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope that you do have a fabulous